What's up, everyone? It's Anna, also known as That Star Wars Girl, and today I am finally going to be talking about Batman. Now, I know a lot of you have asked me to do a video on this since the news broke, but I needed to take a minute to sit back and process it. But the first thing that came to my mind when I heard the news was that it was complete genius, and that I didn't know exactly how I personally felt about the decision, but I knew from a business standpoint that whoever is in charge of DC right now, who is ever making these executive decisions, they are complete genius. Just because I don't agree with the decision doesn't mean it's not going to be a box office gold hit type of thing. Now, the reason why I feel this way is because of just the way that the trends have gone in pop culture. Now, I'm going to do a little backflash into my life. So, we are going to go look at something that happened back when I was younger. Now, I am just going to let you all know now. I've said this before on my channel, but I know that there's always thank you to this, by the way, that there's new people joining every single day. So I know that not information that people that have been following my channel for a long time is, relative, all known information to people that are just joining. So I will reiterate this. Batman is my favorite superhero. He has always been my favorite superhero because when I was a child and I found out, of course as a kid you just kind of know who Batman is. But when I actually was able to process and learn more about him and learning, wow, this guy is like the main guy at DC. He is, you've got Superman and you got Batman. You have somebody that is literally a freaking god among men, and then you have just a man who holds his ground against a freaking god, or with a god, because they're allies, they're friends, a little bit further down the line, but he's just a man, and the reason why he is so fundamentally important to DC, to their universe, is because of his intelligence. And that blew me away as a child, and that made me believe more in myself, and that if you learn and you put your mind to something, that you can accomplish anything. And Batman taught me that, and I've always looked up to Batman because of that. And the fact that something tremendously awful happened to him as a child, and instead of turning to the dark side, he made himself a better person, and he made it his mission to save other people that couldn't save themselves, or couldn't help themselves in those situations, or to the helpless, the people that the justice system does not help and work for. And he made that his mission. Instead of going crazy and becoming a bad guy, he made himself the best person he could possibly be. And even when he fails, he still tries to better himself, and he will always put the needs of others above his own. That is an incredible human, and I've always looked up to Batman because of that. And yeah, you can say the great things about Superman as well, and Superman has always been, that all-around good guy type of character. And I love Superman as well, but I've always looked up to Batman because Batman was something that you can strive to achieve. You can always strive to, become more knowledgeable, be better at, self-defense and helping others, and Batman taught me that. So when this news came out about Robert Pattinson, again, I immediately thought, wow, whoever is in charge is a genius, but I don't know if I'm actually okay with him being Batman. Like, anything in my opinion is better than Batfleck, and I'm 100% not ashamed to say that. I know some people are like, oh, Anna, come on, George Clooney was worse. No, I honestly think that George Clooney was a better Batman than Batfleck. And you can argue, well, Batfleck is the most accurate version of the comic book. I'm like, just because it's the most accurate doesn't mean it's good. Just putting that out there. Just like I say plenty of times. Just because a movie made money doesn't make it good. Captain Marvel. But still, I couldn't stand Ben Affleck as Batman. Oh, you want me to believe Batman's a detective? Okay, so all Ben Affleck does was sit there in a chair waiting for a file to load. Oh, let me go look at this file. Let me open up. Let me go look at some pictures of Wonder Woman and all these other characters, all these other superheroes. I could do that. That's like saying, okay, all I have to do is go into somebody's house, get a flash drive, and plug it in my computer. Yeah, I can do that. That's not super detective work. Anyone can do that. That was not Batman. That was lazy, man. That was Ben Affleck trying to, be the next Robert Downey Jr., and it failed epically. At least George Clooney is humble enough to know that when he did it, that his movie sucked. He had absolutely no control over it. Even when he talks about it, he's like, yeah, I would never go to Comic-Con because the only reason I have to go to Comic-Con is because of Batman and Robin, and, all I feel like I'd be doing is apologizing to everyone, and he laughs about it. It's like, wow, at least he owns up to it. Ben Affleck's just, whatever. But anyway, I'm like, yes, cool, he's gone, yay, kind of like the celebration at the end of The Wizard of Oz, yay, the witch is dead, the witch is dead. Batfleck is gone. Thank freaking goodness. And then we get this news, and I was like, oh my god, okay. So, let me explain why I think that it is going to be a PR gold, like box office gold right here. So, back in the day, we were going to talk about how Robert Pattinson became famous, which is Sparkly the Vampire himself. Now, little Anna, me when I was little, I was a huge bookworm, and I loved to read books. I read so many books, and then I heard about this new series coming out about vampires, and I was like, cool. I've read Anne Rice. Yes, I read them when I was a lot younger than I should have, to be reading books like that. But guess what? Mom had them, so I read them. So, I was like, cool, vampires. I love vampire movies. I love werewolf movies. This book's got it. It's also at my school, like in the library. I can go check it out and take it in mind. I had already read, a series of Unfortunate Events. I'd read Aragon. I'd read Pendragon. Of course, the series wasn't completed by then, so I was still in the process of reading it. And so I was like, what? I'll read Twilight. And yes, I was a young girl. Yes, we like romance stuff, and I know it's not for everyone, but I get sucked into that kind of stuff. Yeah, when I watch the prequels, yes, I like that awkward Padme and Anakin dynamic. Han Solo and Leia did it better, but, of course, now, watching back that, it's like, oh, that's kind of uncomfortable. But preteens don't know, because when you're a preteen, you've never experienced real love, so you don't know what's real and what's not. You're just like, oh, this is like the Hollywood version. You kind of buy into it. So, I was reading Twilight, and preteen little baby Anna was like, oh my gosh, it's a vampire, werewolves, all this stuff. And I'm just going to say this right now. As bad as the films are, as bad as the books are, being a preteen, you buy into that because you don't know any better. And I was like, ooh, I've already gotten Anne Rice's version of vampires. It's very, very dark. This was kind of like, I wouldn't say uplifting, but it was on a different level. It's all romantic, and again, when you've never experienced real love, you don't know. So I'm reading the books, and I'm like, yes, oh my gosh, Twilight. And I remember waiting for for midnight at Borders and then Barnes and Nobles, yes, when Borders still existed, waiting for these books to come out. And I was like huge into Twilight, and then they were releasing the movie, and oh my, this is embarrassing to admit. So, I made my mom drop me off at the theater, and I waited there with one friend from high school because I only had one friend that had read these books, and this was before it was a big thing, and we waited to get into the theaters because there was no pre-purchasing tickets, and we saw Twilight, and I remember hearing about how Robert Pattinson was going to be in it. I was like, oh cool, the dude from Harry Potter, yeah, he's cute, he did a really good job in Harry Potter. It sucks that, spoiler alert, his character died in the first movie he was in, but he was really good in that movie, so maybe he's gonna be good as Edward. And I remember like the whole Taylor Lautner, I was like, oh yeah, he was in Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Yeah, he's gonna be cool. And you see the picture of him getting all in shape, and it's like, again, preteen Anna. It's just like, yes, it's gonna be epic. I did not like Kristen Stewart being casted because she's awful, and they were supposed to cast the girl that was in a series of Unfortunate Events, the awful Jim Carrey one, and I was like, everyone that I knew was like, yeah, she would be awesome as Bella, but her thing was in the book, Bella is not, like, pretty, she's kind of plain, so Kristen Stewart being cast was like, she can act, so I was like, she was okay in Panic Room, but then I realized, she was basically dying in Panic Room, so she didn't really do anything, all she did was lay there looking dead, which apparently is just her regular face, but, I watched the movie, and I was like, what the hell? And I was just like, I remember my mom picking me up and being, like, completely torn inside, because I'm like, gosh, this book that I loved, like, what happened? And then the entire world lost their shit. Because now everything was Twilight. Everyone that had made fun of me for going and waiting 4 hours for a midnight premiere of a movie, all of a sudden now everyone loved it. And then, guys, I kid you not. That summer, me and my family went on a Twilight tour because my mother got all into it. My sisters got all into it. All these people that had made fun of me for going and waiting were now all of a sudden huge die-hard Twihards. And my aunt that lives in Idaho got excited about it. And we went to all of the filming locations of Twilight. I have been to Bella's house. I have been to Forks. Actually, I've been to the literal Forks, Washington. I went to La Push. I went to all of the filming locations. I have stood on the patch of grass where Edward is standing behind Bella, and he's just like, say it. And she's over here like, vampire. I have been there. I have been to the patch in the woods. We went out to this park. So, and it's all signed off because they're like, oh, don't walk here. This is where it's trying to grow back the environment. I have been on the rock where Edward takes off his shirt and shows his glitteriness. I have been where the rock is, where he leans over her and like breathes and says some line. I have been there. I have been everywhere that the first Twilight movie has been filmed. I went to where they had their prom. All because of Twilight. I couldn't get anyone to go take me on a on a Star Wars tour to go see the filming locations. But guess what? My mother, my 2 younger sisters, my aunt, and my cousin all got excited about Twilight. And I can't really judge people on getting excited and going kind of crazy in fandoms because, freaking look at my room. Well, my studio, my art studio that now has become a filming location. But, yeah, so my aunt got really into Twilight. My aunt is on a first name basis with the entire cast of the movie. She has so much. She has Twilight wallpaper. She has the books in every language because whenever she travels, she goes and gets it in a different language. So, those were considered, these are normal people. Like my aunt, my mother, my sisters, my cousins, all of these people are normies. I would say, they're not geeky. They like Star Wars. They'll watch it occasionally. They like Star Trek. They'll watch it occasionally. But they're not diehard. They're not going to get into fandoms. So for the entire world to freak out over Twilight, for how successful that it was, for, the quality that it was in the writing aspect, it changed the world. The world went crazy. So, I feel like who's ever in charge of DC, they watched what Disney did. They saw Disney go crazy with the SJW nonsense and completely ruin Luke Skywalker and see how that completely tore the fandom. Star Wars, that everyone thought was untouchable, that could survive anything, isn't surviving this. We saw how Solo flopped. Or Solo, I should say. Episode 9, nobody's excited for it. Then we can see what happened with Marvel. Again, everyone saw the past 10 years, how it changed the world, how it got everyone excited for superheroes, how it made it mainstream. And then we see what happened with Captain Marvel, with Brie freaking Larson running her mouth, shoving politics down everyone's throat, and how now it's divided, just like Star Wars is. And whoever is in charge of DC has been sitting back and watching it, and they have taken a turn with the way that they've been doing things. You can see how things have changed since we started off, with Man of Steel. Then we got the Bat flick and the Batman vs. Superman and the Justice League. But we had Wonder Woman. That movie was awesome. I loved that movie. Then we had Aquaman. Aquaman made $1 billion for one freaking reason, and you can say, oh, it's all the fans that got excited for Aquaman. Aquaman has been in the butt of the jokes since I can remember. Heck, do you remember that scene in Family Guy where the girl's getting in trouble on the beach and Aquaman's back there oh, I can talk to fish, and she's like, help me, and he's like, oh, my powers only work in water, and it's like, you're freaking useless. You're useless. And made $1 billion. 55% of the audience were women. I wonder why. So, this whole SJW checklist that apparently every movie studio has now, and it's like, you gotta do this. You gotta make sure you have this. You gotta make sure you have this. So that way it fits into, these new social norms. Well, whoever has been working at DC, they're looking at that. They saw how Star Wars did it and failed. They saw how Marvel did it and now is, gonna blow up in their face. And they're doing it. They're following the checklist. But whoever is in charge up there is doing it right. The story for Aquaman, complete BS. That was one of the worst movies I have ever seen. But I know exactly why it made $1 billion. It was fun. And there was something in the marketing that brought people in, that brought normies in. I wonder what that driving factor was. And now we have Batman. We have a world that has been without Twilight for a long time. And those tryhards, they're waiting for some action. They are excited about this. Heck, within the first hour of this coming out, the news being released about who they cast as Batman. The sparkly vampire dude. Now there's people going on petitions saying that they want Taylor Lautner, who played Jacob in Twilight, to be the Joker. They want Kristen Stewart to come back as Catwoman. They're like, guys, come on. You know that they had that horrendous breakup where she freaking publicly cheated on him, and you want her to be in a movie with him? You want to do that to this poor guy? But they know that he is a money grabber. People will come and see a movie because he's in it, because all these tryhards that loved him for years, they are going to come to support him. They saw how he went through that horrible breakup, that very, very public breakup with this woman that he did movies with, and then she went and cheated on him with the director of some movie that she was in, the stupid Snow White movie that was awful. And did you see him, go and bash her? Did you see him do what Brie Larson did? Where, let me shove my politics down your throat. Let me make this all public. No. He's very humble. He was just an actor that got signed on in the beginning of his career to this movie. He's like, hey, you're going to be the star of this movie. He's like, okay, cool. Let me sign this contract. And, even he's embarrassed that he's in these movies. But he still did it. I don't think that he's a bad actor at all. I think that they were very smart on casting him because he has a huge following. He's very talented. If you go and look at the movies, he's not a bad actor. He's been very good in everything that he's been in. Even though the Twilight movies were what they were, if you look at his acting, he is very consistent with his character. He did not do a bad job. It's not his fault with the directing and the writing. He just was there to get paid, and he did it well. So, and he didn't go around saying, inappropriate things and pushing, SJW stuff. He didn't go around forcing his political opinions down people's throat. So, what they're doing at DC is they got someone that they know is going to make money. They know has a huge fan base that is going to bring, that outside audience that Disney and Marvel are trying to bring in. Oh, we're going to do this for, women. But hey, guess what? DC is actually doing it. And that's why I think it's going to be successful. You can disagree with me, but I'm telling you, all of the people that loved him from Twilight, they are excited. They are going to go and see him in this movie. They are going to come and support him. They made plenty of Barbies and action figures him in Twilight. Guarantee you, this is going to up DC's toy sales because all of those people that loved him in Twilight are going to come and buy all of them as him as Batman. I think this is a great idea for them. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean, I don't think that there's other people that would be better as Batman. But as far as whoever is in charge of their marketing and their PR, this is a very smart move for them because they have an actor, again, and I've said this multiple times in this video already, has a huge fan base. Doesn't go and, bash on people that he doesn't agree with. Doesn't go and push, political opinions down people's throat. I have not heard of Robert Pattinson doing that. So I think in that sense, and again with Jason Momoa, people loved him because of his fan base in Game of Thrones. Look at how successful Aquaman was. I think that whoever is doing the casting at DC, good job. Good job. This was a very, very smart move, and I really think that this is going to do well. This is a very smart move for them. So that's kind of all I have to say on that. But, Tulip, stop it. Somebody wants to be in the video, and I know a lot of people have asked for more Tulip. So, here she is. This is my little werewolf. But, anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you like it, if you like the idea of him, I don't know what the general consensus is, but I feel like the rest of the world is going to go crazy with this. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Make sure you click that little bell, that way you get notifications when I do other videos and live streams. Tulip is usually in my live streams, or at least sitting on the floor staring up at me while I talk. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, that's okay too. And until next time, everyone, have a great rest of your day, and may the force be with you, because we are really, really, really going to need it. Bye, everyone. Bye. What's up, everyone? I have a P.O. box, so if you want to send me some mail, go ahead and send it to Anna, that Star Wars girl, or TSWG for short, at P.O. Box number 28171, Santa Ana, California, 927998171. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much.